Hi, I'm Jim. I'm a narcissist. I have narcissistic personality disorder. I have been diagnosed by a therapist. Um, Making these videos for anybody that's looking to gain any firsthand information. So, of course, what my plan is, I'm just kind of going through the symptoms I have, talking about some of my experiences. Very important. I am not a licensed professional, right? I do have a psychology degree, but I'm an auditor, and so. Again, not a licensed counselor, but if you're looking for any type of firsthand information about this disorder, maybe you think you may have it. Maybe you've been diagnosed and you're just reaching out, seeing if other people have similar experiences. Maybe you think someone you know in your life has it, and I hope not, but maybe you're a victim. Maybe you are or have been in a relationship with someone with narcissistic personality disorder, and you've had to suffer the abuse. Or, just anybody, again, that's looking to gain any kind of information.
I'm not sure I understand.
I don't know why Siri's talking to you, but she is. So today I want to talk about something that I definitely identify with. And I identify with it aggressively. And let me side note here. So, again, I'm not a licensed professional, right? But I've noticed that not just people with this disorder, people with disorders in general, we have a tendency to brag about our symptoms sometimes, which is crazy. It's really kind of insane, right? So what I'm going to talk about today, I spent the better part of my life bragging about, thinking it was a positive. I was wrong. Not a little bit. I was... Okay. The big reveal. Today I'm going to talk about love bombing. And if you don't know, what love bombing is literally just that. You use the word love, in whatever form way too early and just bomb the person with it, right? It's part of hoovering. And if you don't know what hoovering is how we suck people in. And as I said in one of the videos where I went over hoovering, man, if you are the person that someone with NPD is trying to hoover, man, that is the best time of your life. We will bend over backwards. We are seeking your approval, right? We are trying our best to suck you in, whether it be in a romantic relationship, a friendship, peers at work, right? Whoever you are, if we're hoovering you, oh my God, it's going to be awesome. I will bend over backwards to have you like me. I am not kidding. And some of it doesn't even make sense. I can't tell you how many times, I can look back in my past when I was trying to hoover people that I work with. And I was like, yeah, you can come over to my desk and I keep this here and you can have this and you can have that. And the next thing you know, I'm like, man, who came to my desk and took this? In the back of my mind, I'm mad at you, but I'm hoovering you, right? I don't want you to take it, but I'm gonna offer it and I'm gonna give it to you and I'm gonna give you whatever you want because I want to suck you in, right? And I don't want to get too wrapped up in the hoovering, but the bad news is once we pull you in, right, that's when we start to abuse you, right? And we push you away, and then we hoover again, right? It's a vicious cycle. And that's how we use love bombing, right? We try to use that word to bring you in, and here's the thing. I'm going to use an experience I proposed to someone years ago, and I was telling someone that I know, oh, guess what? I just proposed to so-and-so. And their question to me was, why is she the one? And I tell you, man, I sat there kind of dumbfounded, right? Looking back in retrospect, that's a question I should have asked myself. That's a question I definitely should have had an answer to. And if I'm proposing to them and I don't have an answer to that question, why am I proposing, right? So that's a perfect example of you're just using it way, way ahead, right? Before even if you went deep down inside, even before you know it's right. But that's what we're doing, right? So love bombing, and again, going back to, I bragged about it. I can't tell you how many times I was like, every relationship I've ever been in, I've always been the first to say I love you. Isn't that sweet? Isn't that adorable? isn't that a narcissist with narcissistic personality disorder explaining to you that I have literally tried to trap and manipulate to only to emotionally abuse every person I've ever been in a relationship with? I've put them in an awkward and uncomfortable situation before I even showed them the bad side, because of course I've gotten crazy responses, and that just added to my it's them, not me. Stuff like, like, thank you. I'm glad you felt comfortable saying that, but I'm not ready to say that to you, right? I didn't even have to say it. I didn't even have to text it, right? I texted one ex so early, and it wasn't even a full-on love bomb. I just let it. I mean, just a little bit. It was. I think I made, and I put the heart emoji, and I got a return scared emoji, because of course I scared the hell out of that girl, right? I mean, it's way too soon. It's way too early. You're just putting these people in an awkward, uncomfortable situation, and we think, we're expressing whether you're conscious or unconscious of it, right? It's way too early, right? And you're not even able to know if you have those extreme emotions. I mean, there's situations I can look back on, and I knew so little about the individual when I'm throwing out that word that it wasn't possible for me to truly know whether or not I love them, right? I mean, here's the thing. At the end of the day, when you tell someone you love them, I mean, you got to be ready to accept that everything in all their mannerisms, everything about their life, their future plans, I mean, everything, fits into that, right? And if it is early into a relationship, you don't even know the answers to some of these things, right? I've always kind of been of the belief, wow, how can people kind of get married before they even live together? Because there's just so much you're going to learn about someone, by living together under the same roof that you don't know, right? And these are things that are important to know before you get married, and things like that. It's kind of like the same way with saying I love you. I mean, there's so much about your personality that I have to know. I mean, and not even just your personality. I mean, can I truly say that I love you if there's a situation where you live halfway across the country and I don't even have a feasible plan, for us to live together? Can I say I love you if maybe we met in school, and again, you live in another state? Can I say I love you if you were here on you're here on a work visa for 6 months? So there's aspects of the individual's life that really needs to factor into this emotion as well, right? Again, this is all just my opinion. I'm telling you my experience, but I can look back, and I used it way too early, and it's manipulation. It is. You're trying to drag them in as fast as possible. Now, I talked about it in one of the other videos. Whether we're doing it consciously or unconsciously, I'm 100% confident that mine was unconscious. That doesn't make it okay, right? It doesn't make it okay. It doesn't mean that it didn't do the same amount of damage. Whether I knew I was doing it and I was doing it on purpose, right? Or my mind underneath, was doing it, knowing what it was doing without me consciously being aware. Either way, the result was still the same. Now, the bad news for me, I ain't got that excuse anymore. I know, right? If I start a relationship tomorrow and in 3 weeks I tell that person I love you, man, that's my fault, right? I know I got this disorder. I know what this disorder does, and that is one of the symptoms I'm aware that I have, right? So I can't, hey, use the excuse, oh, I wasn't aware, I wasn't conscious of it, right? I'm conscious. So what do we do, right? If we have this disorder, if for those of you that think you may know somebody that has this disorder, right? And they hit you with that love bomb early. I mean, that's a symptom, right? So does that mean they have narcissistic personality disorder? No. But is there a chance? And is there a better chance now that you know that they have this symptom? Oh yeah, oh definitely. And this is like I said, do you need to be aware of, if you go into a relationship with that person, what it's going to be like? Oh dear Lord, please research. From the deepest bottoms of my soul and my heart, I mean, the damage I've done to people that I love, with this, and I can't take it back. I mean, the damage is already done. So yeah. And just to make you aware, just about any therapist, psychiatrist, counselor that you see, if you are a person and you go to them and you tell them you've met someone and you believe they have narcissistic personality disorder, it's almost going to be unanimous. They're going to tell you, stop, get out of that relationship immediately, block them 110%, and do not allow them to contact you. And that's exactly what you have to do, right? So if somebody's love bombing you in a relationship and it's early and it's way too early, right? That's a lot bigger of a red flag than I think you realized. And please do some more research. Please look further into it. And if you do decide, please, that they have narcissistic personality disorder, please sincerely think about what I said when I tell you that the best course of action is to block them. It's not worth the risk. It's not. So got through that without crying, which is a good thing. But yeah. And for us for those of you and I think you may have this disorder, and those of us that do, what do we do, right? All right. Again, we're responsible now, right? We know that this is one of our symptoms. We can't do it. We're not allowed to say that word. We're not allowed to text that word. We're not allowed to write that word until we 110% evaluate it, right? And just like hey, tell me how awesome I am. I just proposed to so-and-so. Well, why's she the one? I don't know. I didn't ask myself before I proposed. Why would I do that? That's crazy, right? So before I tell somebody I love them, before I text somebody I love them, before I even text somebody I think I may heart emoji, right? Before I write a letter that says the word love, I'm going to think about it. I'm going to evaluate it. I'm going to ask myself questions. Is this truly the emotion that I feel? And how can I be sure that I do honestly have this depth of emotion, and it's not that disorder sitting on my shoulder running the boat, right? Driving, steering where I'm going. And I promise you, when you're love bombing, he's steering you down a bad path, right? It's part of that Hoover. Suck them in as soon and as fast, right? And then the emotional abuse hits. For me, for others it may be emotional and physical abuse, right? But first, that love bomb is part of the manipulation, right? It's part of the hoovering trick, right? That's what we do to suck you in as soon and as fast as possible, and then the disorder takes over, and that's when the emotional abuse starts. So I hope this was helpful. I think this is a biggie. I'll be honest, in the grand scheme, and I hope there's help. I hope it helped, that this and the other videos help somebody, anybody, right? I was 49 years old before I first found out I had this disorder, right? It's a lot of years doing a lot of damage, you know. So, but I go to therapy. I, of course, have my plan of action, and feel free to stick around as I tell you what that is. So, of course, my therapist and I, we put together a future betterment, a mental wellness plan, and not just with the love bombing, but with all the symptoms, challenges that this disorder brings to my life, right? I made the conscious decision to accept and acknowledge that I have this disorder, right? And now I'm making the conscious decision that I do not want to allow this disorder or display any of the symptoms that could be harmful to others or to myself in any way. And of course, there's good days and there's bad days, right? There's wins and there's fails. Love bombing is one of the ones that is easier to control, right? We just, we got to catch ourselves before we say it, right? We got to catch ourselves before we text it. Got to catch ourselves before we write it. We got to make sure that words being used for the right reason, right? And that's how you get into a healthy relationship that's built the right way. Because of course the wrong way is no relationship should be started with manipulation. And that's exactly what love bombing is doing. It's setting up false pretense, right? So a healthy relationship has to start the right way. So even before we get to the point where we got to make sure that the disorder, isn't running things in the relationship, we got to make sure that the relationship's starting in the right way, and hopefully we'll be successful, and hopefully those that have been victims won't be victims again in the future, either to new narcissists, or if a previous recurrent narcissist is trying to hoover them, maybe this helps you to identify it, right? You're like, oh man, that's exactly what he does, right? A couple of other things that go hand in hand with the hoovering, fake futuring, right? I liken this to someone that's physically abusive. How we have the traditional belief that they say, oh no, I'm so sorry, I don't know why I did that, I'm never going to hit you again, right? Please, I love you, you know what I mean? It's going to, if you take me back, it's going to go back to like when we first met, before I hit you the first time, right? Fake futuring, right? Again, doesn't matter if it's conscious or unconscious, if they truly believe they're never going to hit you again or not, right? Same thing with the narcissist. If it's, the emotional abuse is the same as physical abuse, right? Whether they believe they're going to stop or they know they're manipulating you and they're lying, doesn't matter, right? It's fake futuring, right? It's promises that they can't hold up to, right? They say it, but they're not going to do it. That's why you have to completely block. Right, fake futuring is a huge one. That's of course part of the hoovering. That's how we suck you in or suck you back in, right? So that's a big one to be on the lookout. With the manipulation. And like I said, the most important thing is whether they believe it or they don't, doesn't matter. The result is the same. It is a lie. It is a form of manipulation, right? They're only trying to suck you in to go ahead and to let that disorder beat up on you over and over again with emotional and physical abuse, right? It's going to be one or the other. It's either going to be emotional abuse or emotional and physical abuse, right? But don't let them do it. Don't let them do it. So that's a really, really big one to be on the lookout for, and that's why we talk about you got to cut them off, because you give them that little, well, I still want to be friends. We're friends on Facebook. Oh, he texts me every once in a while, right? No, you got to cut them off, because these are the manipulations they're going to use to hoover you back in, right? And it seems, no, they're different, you know what I mean? And yeah, we're just gonna be friends. No, no. Again, it doesn't matter if they're aware or not. The motives are ulterior. So I hope this was helpful. Thanks.